So, Joe, it's the World Series between the Tampa Bay Rays and the guys who want to be Tampa Bay Rays, except they have a much bigger paycheck, also known as the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, actually, what makes it interesting is if the Rays can beat the loaded Dodgers, they'll have beaten the Yankees, who have the number one payroll, then the Dodgers with the number two, and they just beat the Houston Astros, who have the number three payroll, which I don't think's ever happened.
It would certainly be a vindication for a Tampa Bay franchise that has long been lauded for for getting everything, getting more with less, more than even the A's, who are frequently told as the Moneyball team. The Rays have taken that to a whole different level, but every time they've been stopped and turned around. That last year the Astros, whether you think they cheated or not, they did manage to eke out a win after the Rays pushed them to the brink. 2008, they ran into the red hot Phillies team, and all the other years they just couldn't get their way out of the first round of the playoffs. So it's rarefied air for the Rays, and as for the Dodgers, well, they got to get it done.
Yeah, I mean they don't want to turn it. We keep talking about them. We don't want them to end up like the Bills, who went to four straight Super Bowls and didn't win anything. So now they're here for the third time in 4 years, and are they going to get it done? I don't know. I mean, we showed that they were down and that they weren't out, and then they were down a whole bunch game four, and then they decided to just win three straight. We've seen that the Rays aren't very good after Snell and Glass now, so.
Well, Snell, Glass now, and Morton.
Yeah, Charlie Morton, the only pitcher with 3 Game 7 wins with 5+ innings.
Yeah, no, he is.
That's legendary category there.
Yeah, especially for a guy who really had to turn his career around halfway through. That, remember, he was, if once upon a time he was on those the end of the Moorbound Pirates teams at the end of the beginning of the previous decade, including a season where it was 7.57 ERA and a 2-12 record.
Oof.
And now he's being regarded as one of the better pitchers in baseball, and one of the best postseason pitchers. Last year it was the third place for the Cy Young Award, and it's a good way to turn your career around. Just like another guy on the Rays, Randy Arozarena. Who has heard of this guy before?
I have not, because I can't pronounce his name yet. I haven't.
Yeah. Well, Arozarena is the first player ever in Major League Baseball history to have 7 home runs in September of a season after not having any for the beginning of the season. And he
was also out because of COVID. So.
Yeah, but that's what he credits his help, that all he did was basically work out while he was waiting for it to be cleared out of COVID, and that has certainly turned his career around. But with the Cardinals, his team before, he was a fast riser in the minor league system, went from single A to the majors in 3 years, but 15 home runs and 17 stolen bases in 2019 in the minor leagues isn't really anything that's eye-opening. His average was high, but averages are high very much at times in the minor league system. Yeah. But this postseason, no home runs in the wild card series against Toronto, but he did have 4 hits and 2 doubles and a triple. Against the Yankees, he hit home runs, 3 of them. And against the Astros, he hit home runs, 4 of them. And he led the team in batting average for the entire postseason.
Yeah.
This guy is he's becoming a name that's going to be their slugger for the future. Only 25. And all I can say is the Cardinals are probably beating themselves up again. First with giving away Luke Voigt. They at least got Giovanni Gallegos for their troubles, but for this, the Rays got him and Jose Martinez and a supplemental first-round pick for Matthew Liberatore, minor leagues, Edgardo Rodriguez, also minor leagues, and a 2020 supplemental second-round pick. So, unlike Luke Voigt, there's no immediate returns, especially because the guys they got are in single A basically. So they won't be able to get to see what those returns look like for another few years.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. It's a good feel-good story. We've seen stuff like this. I mean, a couple of years back, actually might be even longer now, when for hockey, for Chris Kreider, when he came up like right at the end of the season or just for the playoffs, and he was like such a force. He was like the MVP for the Rangers in the playoffs that year, helping them make a deep playoff run. But last they in the Cup that year. So it's always nice to see. Hopefully he can maintain his production, and maybe the Rays will throw him money in a couple of years, but doesn't seem like it. Looks like Tampa likes to retool instead of rebuild. Well, they do like a rebuilding retool sort of thing, and they just like make it happen like overnight. Because they're one of the few teams that have had. I know that this year I think they had like a 700 win percentage, whatever that was.
Yeah, but the last 3 years, no one's had more wins than the Rays.
Yeah, so it's. Yeah, and they've been consistent too. It's not like the Red Sox where they win 110 games and then lose 95 games and then win 95 games. Boston's up and down. Tampa Bay's been basically like 90 to 95 wins the last like decade. The Yankees have basically been that. They had a couple of those years where they were like down to like 84 wins as they were missing the playoffs for a couple of years, but Tampa Bay's just been steady. They've been doing it on no payroll. I don't know if that's happening because they've got all these guys that are new and you don't have enough information on them. And that might be a thing because, I mean, we saw Blake Snell win the Cy Young a couple of years ago, and then he's sort of like not been as effective.
Well, it also doesn't help that he got hurt.
No, but you get a better scouting report on that, and with everyone's little tablets and everything. I know you can't like look at stuff in game now because of a certain team, Trastros. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
But yeah, so you gotta sort of see what you can get right now. Mookie Betts, though, for the Dodgers seems like a real good pickup, and he's paying off, robbing home runs, making, getting rid of extra base hits in the outfield, returning Game 6. I mean, he's turning into the guy. He seems to really be enjoying his time in Los Angeles, too.
I mean, considering how much money they threw at him, I would hope he becomes the the guy. But it's also other guys in that series as well. You have Corey Seager, who is much rejuvenated after being out with injury in 2018. I believe he won the league and the series MVP.
Yeah, and then he dislocated his shoulder.
Of course.
You see that highlight? You just like see his arm go, it's like boom. That doesn't look right.
Yeah, but you have that. You have Cody Bellinger, who is equally as well in the outfield. You have the hyped matchup we got teased at twice and then finally got it. Will Smith versus Will Smith. That was a big moment for the Dodgers, and. Of course, the Dodgers have pitching. They have Kershaw lined up for Game 1. They'll probably go to Walker Buehler in Game 2.
Can they just tell Clayton Kershaw that this isn't a World Series game? It's just like Game 32 of the regular season.
I hope, considering Kershaw's a very pedestrian pitcher in the postseason.
Yeah,
But he,
I mean, what was it the Jets? I think it was Frank Gore said the Jets don't know how to play football until the fourth quarter. It's like we might. I mean, they still got shut out 24-0, but I think they started moving a little bit more in the fourth quarter. So just got to play with the mentality of, hey, it's the fourth quarter already. Clayton Kershaw's got to play with the mentality that it's just a regular season game. Nothing's on the line.
yeah, but I think the bigger factor is what are they going to do at the back end of that bullpen? Because if you noticed in Game 7, they did not turn to Kenley Jansen in the ninth inning. They kept Urias at. Excuse me if I butchered that name. They kept him out there for a third inning of work, and that's notable because Kenley Jansen
He's got the yips or something.
It's not the yips.
No,
but he's what the last few years I've noticed that if he's off his game, he's really off his game. That he does some of the best impressions of David Robertson, except he doesn't get out of it as much as as Harry as Houdini did it, and especially in the division series against the Padres, where they almost lost Game 2 because of him. That they're definitely not going to overexpose. Now, granted, in the championship series, he had three scoreless appearances. Three perfect appearances against the Braves. But as I said, if he's on, he's on. If he's off, he is. Hang on to your seats. You don't have many better roller coaster rides than that.
One of the things I am looking forward to is G-Man Choi.
That
G-Man. Smile of his, it's infectious.
Yeah. If you want to have a team that wins based on their personality and eagerness alone, the Rays slam dunk are the most exciting team. The Braves would have been just up there if they had managed to close the series out, but alas, it is between the Falcons and the Braves. It is Atlanta's destiny as a sports franchise to city to choke.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to see who wins it because Tampa Bay Lightning won a couple weeks ago the Stanley Cup. Then the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA title last week, the week before. So now we've got Tampa Bay versus Los Angeles, and we're gonna see which city wants it more.
For sports supremacy in the pandemic. I already saw that LeBron James is partying in Las Vegas to cheer on the Dodgers. Yeah. But I have a feeling it's going to be Tampa Bay's time. That it's going to be their time. They got the energy. They got the Randy. They got G-Man. They got as solid pitching as
but do they Dodgers. Have nice flowing hair like Dustin May?
They don't need to, and you have Randy Arozarena hitting home runs off Dustin May. And also I feel their bullpen is a stronger unit a deeper unit than the Dodgers have at the moment. And I think that's going to be the X factor, if you will.
Now, one thing I do have to ask you, you sort of mentioned he got 3 innings of work in Game 7. But what are the Dodgers doing with Julio? Are they just going to keep bouncing them back and forth between the bullpen and the starting rotation whenever it needs an extra arm?
Kind of. They've been using him as a sort of super reliever, or if you want to go further back in the Wayback Machine, the good old traditional fireman type closer that goes 3-4 innings instead of 1. That they're using. It's different, and there's been a lot of criticism at times for how Dave Roberts has utilized that pitching style. If the Dodgers hadn't come back, he certainly would have gotten criticism for starting Dustin May as an opener on one-day rest. But fortunately, they were able to bail him out. Now, in Urias's case, this postseason, in the Wild Card Series and the Division Series, he pitched a couple innings of relief each. And in Championship Series, he started 1 game and then had the 3 innings of relief. And got the win in both cases. Now, will that happen against the Rays? It might. Urias has been one of their best pitching prospects all the way back to when he debuted in 2016. He's only 23, and he has a 4-year resume. I say 4 because he was mostly injured in 2017.
Yeah. But he still got 5 starts out of that, though.
Yeah. But yeah, the Dodgers have long been criticized for their pitching handling. Kenta Maeda, very vocal about how he was handled in Los Angeles. So it'll be interesting to see if there's bait and switches and if quick hooks as there have been.
Hopefully it goes better than what the Yankees did.
Yeah. Speaking of the Yankees, Brian Cashman, the general manager, was on the Michael Kay show the other day, and he very vocally said, despite Aaron Boone not having a contract, that he is still going to be the manager going forward, which means, as usual, the Yankees just wait until the contracts expire before renegotiating a new one. So, barring some surprise development, Aaron Boone will be back as the manager of the Yankees. And similarly, while there hadn't been any talk between DJ LeMahieu's camp and the Yankees, there was mutual interest in both of them being back. Now the wrinkle in all this is that there are strong reports that the Yankees are going to be dipping under the luxury tax threshold again. That good old thing. Mainly because as the most successful and one of the most profitable teams in baseball, that they lose more money than, say, the Royals when you can't bring in any fans.
Can't sell out a crowd.
Yeah, and already their payroll is more or less going to be around $171 million, which leaves them about $35 million worth of payroll space to get there. And given the contract that DJ LeMahieu is going to look at, that's already $25 million potentially tied up in there. And the Yankees certainly need more than just DJ LeMahieu. They're losing 2 of their starting pitchers.
Yeah.
Well, 3 technically with Happ. Brett Gardner has an option. So they have a couple holes to fill.
Yeah, what I'm thinking that they should, first off, it comes with sort of you hear him every once in a while calling Yankee games, Paul O'Neill. He took a very friendly deal way back when, sort of had a similar circumstance with DJ LeMahieu. Came in, he had like a year or so on his contract, and he basically did pretty well, was looking for a big pay raise, and he wanted to take less money, and his agent was like, you can't do that. You're going to look really stupid, you're going to make me look bad. So they sort of like worked it out and got some middle ground, but Paul O'Neill basically took less money to stay. I don't know if DJ is going to do that, because, times have changed, it's all about the money.
Yeah, I would say he might, but that would put it on the high teens, low 20s type, not instead of 25. He's still gonna get paid, but there are team friendly deals.
Yeah.
Now the big question is, there needs to be another bat in the lineup that with how the problems with Gary Sanchez all season. What Gleyber Torres struggling for the regular season, and the injuries that Stanton and Judge had, their lineup was very exposed this year. And unlike last year, there was no magic from the farm system.
Clint Frazier.
Well, Clint Frazier, but he was not enough to carry the team at times. So there needs to be some creative solution. And I know one of the places that has been talked about is in the middle of the infield, second base and shortstop. especially with DJ LeMahieu being a free agent in case he doesn't sign back.
Yeah.
Now I know Mark Teixeira.
Yep, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, an analyst has already made a bold idea, which
That's
is
a nice way of putting that.
Yeah, which is to re-sign Didi Gregorius,
Which I'm
who's a
down
free agent. Move Glaber back to second base, which I'm not opposed to.
Yep.
But then re-sign DJ LeMahieu, move him to first, and trade Luke Voigt. Now,
Yeah, that's where I think we both draw the line there.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but Luke Voigt is an MVP candidate this year. He won't win MVP, but he'll be in the top conversation.
Yeah.
So you would be selling high and getting a lot, but you would also be taking a lot. And also, Luke Voigt isn't making that much money.
No.
So he's one of the guys you want to keep around so that you can spend on the rest of the roster at the moment.
Now, one of the things I am worried about with DJ LeMahieu is he's, 32 now?
31, 32, something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So if he's looking for...
32, yes.
I mean, he probably doesn't have these past 2 seasons he has. He probably doesn't have too many of those left. He has maybe 1, maybe 2 left. So I don't know what kind of deal he's looking for, what kind of deal the Yankees are looking to give him. But personally, I wouldn't give LeMahieu more than a 3-year deal.
I could see 4 or 5, mainly because he can also play first base. He has some he could potentially go in the outfield. He has some. He could have some work in there as his career goes on. So because he's not cemented in one position, that you can make it work. And also, of course, designated hitter position.
I think what he should be getting is the 3 years, and then maybe if you want to do a 5-year thing, have like a club option for after the 3rd year.
Yeah, or a player opt out.
Yeah, so have something because I don't. You see it all the time. Once guys hit like 33, sometimes it's just that they're not the same. They're not as productive. Like you said, he does play multiple positions. So he can definitely cover things, and I don't think his defense is going to go away as fast as his offensive skills.
Right.
But I think LeMahieu is also smart enough of a hitter where he did have a big power year last year, his first year in pinstripes. But we definitely know he's definitely capable of just putting the bat on the ball and getting a base hit, which sometimes you don't see that with like guys like Albert Pujols, which is now he's like hit a home run or do nothing.
The 3 true outcomes: walk, strikeout, or home run.
Yeah. So LeMahieu, what he might want to do is learn from Aaron Hicks and learn how to take more pitches and walk more, and add that repertoire to his batting appearances, because then that would make that a little bit more attractive.
He doesn't necessarily need to. Yes, his on-base percentage isn't high, but because his batting average is so high, that's even more ridiculous. He led this year. He led the majors with a .364 batting average and a .421 on-base percentage. Last year, .327 batting average, .375 on-base percentage. So there's some other guys I would. Clint Frazier is one of them that I would like to say maybe more be in the take-walk.
Yeah, I mean, Frazier definitely did a lot more walking this year.
Yeah.
I think he was like getting a walk basically like 3 out of 5 nights.
Yeah, but you know my statement. I let Nick Swisher's my favorite baseball player because he could do everything: hit home runs, take walks, hit a double. So there's some to do that. Now, what I don't disagree with from Mark Teixeira is that I don't think Gleyber Torres should be the shortstop of the future.
He should not be. He doesn't have the defense, not enough range.
Yeah, after 2 years, I don't see it. And that then begs the question, well, who can? Especially because there isn't another top shortstop prospect coming up at the moment.
Yeah.
Now,
No.
initially, I told you off
Mm-hmm.
off the air that
Mm-hmm.
I would do a very bold move, and make a deal with the Indians, giving them Gleyber Torres and getting Francisco Lindor and one of their endless pitching prospects. But I then got reminded about what's happening in next offseason, the 2021-2022 class of shortstops. You want to hear this list?
I would love to.
Francisco Lindor, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Javier Baez. Not a great year last year, but that's probably product of the short season. Carlos Correa, but he's still a great shortstop. Trevor Story. This is a name I would really love to see.
I'm kind of curious how he would survive outside Coors.
Yeah. Corey Seager. And even going down a bit, you have Brandon Crawford and Miguel Rojas. So that is a extremely deep class of shortstops. You have 5 MVP caliber players, and 2 to 3. You have 2 to 3 solid veteran, more defensive shortstops. Now, granted, this list will get whittled down as extensions take guys off. I especially think that the Cubs and the Cubs, Astros, and Dodgers will look to lock up their guys. But Trevor Story, I think, would definitely be a name that hits the market.
I mean, the way it's sort of worked out for Rocky players coming over to the Yankees, I'm kind of tempted to take Trevor. And maybe also Trevor from the Reds as well.
Yeah.
But I really do like Lindor. I think he's a full package. I think he's got a good attitude. I think he's ready to go.
A good attitude. He's called Mr. Smiles.
That's what I'm saying. He's got what it takes. I think he would thrive really well here in New York. So I'm down for him.
At the same time, Trevor Story, outside of this year, which is obviously shortened, consistent 25-35 home run hitter at shortstop, Silver Slugger the last 2 years in the National League. This year, he hit 11 home runs and 290 batting average, and led the National League with 4 triples. Oh, and also he stole 15 bases, so he's no slouch there either. He might not be as personable, say, as Lindor. I haven't really seen too much of Trevor Story getting up and taking a selfie or something, but this guy is an all-around, is a 5-tool hitter. Maybe not as much a 5-tool fielder, but he's definitely a 5-tool hitter. He has hitting. He can hit for average, hit for power, hit for speed. That would bring so much dimension.
Apparently, he hits 385 at Yankee Stadium in 2019.
Who, Lindor?
Story.
Oh yeah, that's probably in a very small sample size.
Yeah, 13 at bats, but still.
Yeah, like I said, you can't go wrong either way. I would say, because Lindor is also not as much on the offense, on the batting average side, but Lindor is also a 30 home run hitter, at Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, 2-time Gold Glove Award winner. So I would honestly see if you can't get it started. Try to get a sign and trade and sign.
Yeah.
Like the
I think if the Yankees want to send Gleyber Torres to Cleveland, I think it would have to be you get an extension.
Oh yeah.
You have to tack on a couple of years for Francisco Lindor at that point.
No, basically you would sign him to his free agent contract right then and there. Same thing with Trevor Story. I would not trade Gleyber Torres for a rental. I would trade him for the shortstop of the future.
Yeah.
And as I said, the best thing that those would do, that would make the lineup less one-dimensional. That you would have speed in the lineup. You'd have more average. That it wouldn't just be hit a home run.
A good glove.
Yeah, anything I think is a better glove than Gleyber Torres at the shortstop.
But would I want Dini back? Yeah, he was my favorite player on the team.
Yeah.
But
but what I
who
rather have.
who do you think smiles more, him or Lindor?
That's a good question. I mean, it's hard to tell this year with everyone wearing masks, but
Yeah.
they both would be excellent. I would just take Lindor or Story because A, they're younger, and B, they're definitely much better baseball players.
Yeah.
As much as I love Didi Gregorius.
Sir Didi.
Yeah. But
we've been talking half an hour just about baseball.
Is that kind of an indicative of what else has been going on, which is not a surprise because everyone else is kind of is taking a rest. But we do have some basketball stuff that I can talk about.
Just one more note on baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't have Joe West or Angel Hernandez umpiring this World Series. So look for Hernandez to complain in the upcoming weeks.
Oh, he complains about everything. He's not a great umpire. He's probably one of the worst balls and strikes umpires, and also the most to stand for an electronic strike zone coming up.
And I know we talked about it last week that the Yankees-Rays Game 7 was just a good game.
Game 5?
Game 5. I forget who the umpire was behind home plate, but damn was he consistent. There were some balls that were a little bit low and a little bit high, but he was calling them on both teams.
Yeah, certainly a lot better than the umpire in Games 3 and 4. Those were very noticeably off. But we've talked 30 minutes about baseball. There's a little.
Do you have a prediction?
I say Rays in 6.
Ooh.
What's your feel?
Dodgers in 5.
Well, we'll come back next week and see if what's happening.
Okay. Let's go into football, where the Jets did something good, sort of. Maybe, not really. Did
they get rid of Adam Gase?
Not yet.
And they didn't do good enough.
Now, do you remember several years back on, I think it was Thanksgiving, Jets played the Patriots, Mark Sanchez gets the ball, and he butt fumbles.
Oh, the infamous butt fumble.
Yep. Well, now the Jets have a butt interception.
Butt interception.
Jets defensive back Marcus May tried to catch a ball, and it landed on his butt. He caught it on his butt.
No.
That was like the lone highlight really for the Jets yesterday, as they got shut out 24-0 in Miami. They're now the only team without a win this year, and they've also lost by 2 scores for each of their first, I believe, 6 games of the season now.
Yeah.
6 games. They have a minus 110 point differential. They've got only 75 points scored, 185 given up.
And they still haven't fired Adam Gase. Even the Texans moved from their head coach.
Well, what I was
than this.
messaging our friend Chris about, because he was like, "Oh, your Jets suck," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, Adam Gase isn't doing a proper job, but it's not all his fault. He was dealt like a really bad hand. He was given like a pair of 2s, and one of the 2s was from Uno, and he was basically like, I don't want this hand, but at the same time he sort of signed on,
knowing that he.
Yeah, I mean he sort of already knew what was sort of coming a little bit, because the Jets still had their old general manager at that point, and he basically just did whatever he wanted and then got fired, and then Gase was just sort of like, this isn't what I signed up for. So he had Le'Veon Bell, and he didn't want Bell. It was really obvious. They sort of denied it, but like he didn't want Bell. You saw how it was on the field last year, and then a couple of games this year. And apparently reports came out this week that one of the reasons the Jets let him go was an $8 million injury clause. So apparently that was a reason on that end.
Yeah, but still, to eat up $8 million, they couldn't find someone to.
No one wanted him.
Even not even for half salary.
No, nothing. It was just too much. I guess he's a bit of a headache, and
Yeah, I guess.
The Kansas City Chiefs took him, and actually they're playing now against Buffalo. So I check the box score, and it doesn't look like he has a touch yet. So maybe he's not dressed for the game. Maybe he's got to do a quarantine thing.
Yeah, or at least an intake.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, if you remember last week, the Tennessee Titans got into a whole bunch of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they were caught with an illegal practice while they were supposed to be quarantining. Apparently, the NFL and NFL Players Association, as of actually a few minutes ago, have concluded their investigation into the outbreak, and while the team will face a potential fine for their misconduct, individuals will not be disciplined, and there is no discussion or forfeiture of draft picks, per Adam Scheffler.
Yeah.
For context, there were talks that the league could come down heavy on them for breaking quarantine, but looks like, as with Major League Baseball, and that it's a slap on the wrist, get back on the field.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not sure I agree with it, but it's at least consistent with what other sports franchises have done, and also what the NFL has done. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Patriots.
Yeah. So football is sort of shaping up a little bit. The Bills are playing now against the Chiefs, as I said. The Bills are at 4-1, leading the AFC East, with Miami's dismantling of the Jets behind them at 3-3. Pittsburgh won again; they're 5-0, but they'll play the 5-0 Tennessee Titans, as they were supposed to play weeks ago. So they're the last two unbeaten teams in the AFC. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks are the only unbeaten team in the NFC, as Tampa Bay dismantled the Green Bay Packers yesterday.
Yeah.
Rich Rogers says, I think that was sort of like he's basically said it was like basically humbling. They sort of needed that. It was sort of a wake-up call for him.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all been, the Packers have basically been steamrolling over everyone up until that point.
Yeah.
From one quote I saw is that as soon as he was they drafted his replacement, he got angry and decided to take out his anger on every opponent that the Packers would face.
Yeah, so the Falcons were able to hold on to a lead finally, so that gave them a win. The Giants eked out a win, although my boss at work said it was Washington that lost the game, not that the Giants won the game.
Yeah, well, when you face two teams that are at the bottom of their division face, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a race to the bottom.
Yeah. So that just leaves the Jets as the only team without a win. So right now they're in the hashtag tank for Trevor sweepstakes, but that's if Trevor even wants to, leave college, because he's still got one more year technically. He's only a junior this year. So,
and considering what finances might or might not look like, that he might say, you know what, I'll stay one more year and hope that I can get a better deal next year.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be the number one guy. I mean, of the 2.25 years he's played college football, he's lost one game. That was the national championship last year.
Oh yeah, but
against a very good LSU team.
Yeah, so there's no doubt he's going to be the number one. But if it's a matter of them saying, "Oh, we can't give you the extra $5 million because," roughly thrown at it, because we lost all that money and we can't afford it, versus we're recovered now, we can give you that extra $5 million you want. It would be a gamble, of course, but it certainly wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that could happen.
Yeah. So I mean, the Jets have a good offensive lineman that they took this past draft from Louisville, Mickey Becton, and he's been injured these last couple of games. But the dude's 6'7", 363 pounds. He's a great addition to this offensive line. And if they can get him working in there, and I was talking with one of my old pizza delivery buddies, Tim, we were both saying, I think he needs to just sort of sit out the rest of this year, get healthy, learn from the mistakes of the rest of the offensive line, and sit and watch, and really learn what exactly he has to do, because he's a freak of nature. He's a beast. He's explosive. And I think he can really help anchor an offensive line that is very much need. So if you can get a guy like Trevor Lawrence, who can definitely command a game and be a big difference maker, unlike Sam Darnold. And well, I do like Joe Flacco. You're not going to win because of him.
No.
Although he did win Super Bowl MVP, but I think it should have been the wide receiver instead.
He's a complement player,
but
not
yeah, you're going to
horse.
win. You can win with him, but not because of him.
Yeah.
So I think if you get a good quarterback who knows how to look around for his surroundings, make the big plays, have the big arm, make the accurate passes, not hold on to the ball too long, you're going to Becton is going to really help a young guy like that come right out from the start. So I'm hoping on the Jets' end they can tank for Trevor, but we'll have to see. I mean, it's still only a third of the season, so still lots of games to go. I mean, we saw it last year. The Jets started off 1-7, and they reeled out like 5-6 wins to end the season. But the rest of their season doesn't look very good.
And there are a lot of other quote-unquote deserving teams rolling out the tanks. You have the Falcons, the Bengals, the Texans, the Washington football team, and the Giants as well.
Yeah.
So
Jaguars,
there are a lot of
they're all looking there. Vikings aren't looking good. I think Kirk Cousins is on the ropes.
The Falcons' problems have been well established.
Yeah.
Same with the Texans.
They might be looking to move on from Matt Ryan, who's looking like he was going to have a Hall of Fame career, and then Super Bowl happened, and nothing happened. But looking at the Jets' upcoming schedule, they have Buffalo next, Kansas City, New England, Los Angeles Rams, Miami Dolphins, Las Vegas Raiders, Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Rams, Cleveland Browns, New England Patriots. And just looking at that, the Bills should annihilate them. Kansas City should annihilate them.
The only one that really stands out as should be a win is the Dolphins.
Well, I mean, the Dolphins just beat them, but I know they have their back and forth. They like to split games. I think maybe.
Well, the Dolphins are the Patriots, because everyone else, Chiefs, of course, are up in
Las Vegas Raiders, depending on which team shows up, because sometimes they're lights out, other times they're blown out. The Rams, as long as they're healthy, they should win. Cleveland, I don't think they're very good yet,
but they're much better.
They're getting much better. It's just really hard. I wouldn't put them as the favorites in any of the games, not even close.
No.
But I think if they're going to eke out a win, maybe they stun Miami at home, or maybe. I don't even think they're going to steal a game from New England.
It's going to have to be in those November games that it is, whether it's the
I think the Chargers, but then again they're in Los Angeles too. They're not even home.
Las Vegas.
Are the Chargers in Las Vegas? No.
Oh, I thought you said Raiders. Sorry.
No. The Los Angeles Chargers. They play Vegas at home, so maybe that's the one. But
maybe
I don't. It's really tough to see. And I know it's hard to go 0-16. It's happened, I believe, twice now. But it's not looking good for them. Let's just put it this way. The only game that I thought they might win was against Denver, who was basically playing their practice squad.
Yeah.
They couldn't even win that.
No.
So it's just not looking good for them. But I guess on the bright side, this was the least amount of points they gave up in a game.
It's also the least amount that they scored.
Yeah, they also didn't score anything either. So defensively, I guess they did a little bit better. Offensively, oops, they forgot to show up.
They got the rare NFL shutout.
Yeah, so
yeah,
not looking good for the Jets.
Yeah,
College football, Nick Saban, the head coach of the famed Alabama Crimson Tide, apparently he tested positive. So there's a whole bunch of stuff shaken up. I'm still kind of confused about Notre Dame because I thought that football team had a bunch of cases, but yet they still played. So I'm not sure what's going on with college football, but apparently they're still playing.
And the NBA, we have reports from their bubble what that did for the team, for the league. That apparently, while they did lose steeply because of no gate revenue, that they were able to save $1.5 billion in revenues by quarantining in Disney World.
So you save money going to Disney.
Yeah, not the only people that do. Although a very troubling loss is that their ratings for the postseason dropped 37%, including a minus 20% loss in viewership in the NBA Finals. Although at the same time, that mirrors what everyone else was going. The Stanley Cup was down 38%. The MLB Division Series was down 40%. The Kentucky Derby was down 43%, and that's in line with everything. So, because of that, it's everyone's been saying it, and even if they're stretching how bad the losses are, that I pity the free agents that are for this offseason because it's going to be an ice cold signing period, except for the very cream of the cream. That no one's going to get paid as much as they thought they would going into this season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how free agent signings are going to go the rest of this year, and at the end of this year, and for the beginning of next year for all the teams, because money's even tighter than normal. Owners aren't going to be looking to be spending money if they're not going to be able to make money. I know certain cities are allowing stadiums to be open, but how long that'll be, I don't know.
Well, the only good thing is that while case numbers have gone up in recent weeks, the death numbers have not. That they've stayed stable since they've dropped and then stayed stable since about the beginning of August. So that's a silver lining at the moment, and hopefully in the next few months we finally get that vaccine and we can actually beat it back and start reopening things by late spring, early summer. That'll have to wait for another episode as we are.
Well, we got to sneak in that NASCAR.
Oh yeah, we got to get that NASCAR.
So we're into the round of 8. Sunday we had the race at Kansas, I believe. Denny Hamlin looked pretty strong, and then he sort of faded to the back. He hit the wall, was a lap down. That sort of gave Harvick a big points boost, because Hamlin was only a couple points behind him coming into this race. This is the first of 3 races where they'll be at Texas this upcoming week, and then they'll be at Martinsville the following week, a short track, before the championship. Phoenix, which driver Joey Logano, he had won Texas Sunday, so he is clinched even though he's only 5th in points. So basically, if you win any of these next 2 races, Texas or Martinsville, and you are either Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Martin Truex Jr., or Kurt Busch, any of those guys win, they will automatically join Joey Logano in the championship round for Phoenix, which is interesting because Harvick has 67 points. So as long as he maintains his lead, because Denny Hamlin basically lost a whole bunch of spots in Sunday's race, he is now only he's 21 points behind Harvick for the most playoff points, as a plus minus anyway. So Harvick's got 21 points on him, which is basically half a race, or a third of a race there. So Harvick, if he finishes with the most playoff points, and Joey Logano, who's in fifth, and only the top four move on. So if, say, Alex Bowman, Martin Truex Jr., and Kurt Busch, or Martin Truex Jr. and Kurt Busch both win races, that puts them with Logano for the three guys up there. Harvick would stay in by default for having the most points, but Denny Hamlin, who has the second most points out of the playoff guys, would be knocked out, as would Brad Keselowski. Chase Elliott's already sort of knocked down, even though he has more playoff points than Joey Logano. So you win, you're in. It's going to make it real interesting. Truex is pretty good on the short tracks, as is Hamlin, so Martinsville might be a good playoff there. Harvick races well and sort of, he raced well in Kansas like he usually does. He's got a good chance at Texas. And Martinsville, he did win there, but even though he didn't win, he got second place yesterday. The best thing out of that was Denny Hamlin hit the wall and dropped back a bunch of points, which gave him a good cushion there, just in case if Truex wins Martinsville and jumps from seventh to an automatic bid, because that could very well be the difference right there. Because Kurt Busch blew an engine or whatever it was yesterday, so he's looking to definitely steal a win like he did last round as well. So this is going to be a pretty good, interesting next couple of weeks.
Yeah. We'll hope to see that coming up. Joe, it has been a pleasure as always.
Yep. Wash your hands, wear those masks, stay 10 feet apart.
Yeah. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, Rays win.
Dodgers.
Rays.
We could have had that Rays World Series and be the Braves.
Yeah. Still, but at least it's not the Braves and Indians.
That would have been bad.
Yeah. See you next week.
All right. See ya. Bye.